constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
Oh, baby, take me to the feeling. I'll be your sinner in secret. When the lights go out, run away with me to the Mobius Couch, a time-space interdimensional vehicle from which your three hosts oversee the world of comic books and movies and comic-related things. I am Alessandro, and joining me on the couch, as usual, are my boys. My boys, Joe.
Hi. Hey, Al.
Hey, what's up? And my other boy, Patrick.
My boys.
Hey.
My boys.
Hey, Al. What's going on? What's up?
Happy New Year. I know we release these at different times, but Happy New Year. It's 2023.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a new year.
it's something to be said. I mean, we took a break over the holidays, so that's important to say, I think.
Yeah, over Christmas. Let's be specific.
Over the
Christian
December
holidays.
month, basically.
Over the Christian holidays, we took a break because those are the ones that matter.
Over the holiday season. But now it's right after New Year's. It's the year 2023. So when you hear this in February, it's right after New Year's.
And today we're here to talk about
Teen Titans.
Some young Americans, the Teen Titans, out there doing God's work, protecting us from villains. So we're talking about
super villains. Not just villains.
So specifically, we're going to talk about the. I think it was 2003. Is specifically when it began.
I thought it was was it? I don't
know.
Maybe
Early 2000s run by Geoff Johns and is it Mike McKone?
It's Mike McKone, but I don't.
On the art.
I'm not 100%. I assume it's McKone. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly.
It's got to be. How else could it's written McKone?
I don't know.
Better be McKone. Anyway, we're going over the beginning of that run, which was kind of an iconic early 2000s reset, which brought in the Young Justice gang, so like Impulse, Tim Drake, Robin, and all that into the team.
Yeah, this is just as iconic as like the 90s JLA run that we were kind of going over recently.
Well, a little bit of history on the Teen Titans. So they were formed like in the 60s as like a kiddie group, and they weren't very popular. Then they got really big in the mid 80s on the Marv Wolfman and George Perez
that's
run.
Correct. George Perez.
That introduced like, I don't know, more like teen to young adult Titans, which were kind of like gritty.
Well, Robin was getting older. That's when Robin shifted to Nightwing. They brought on Beast Boy, Starfire, Cyborg.
Yeah, and
Raven.
They went from like kiddies to just like actual barely legal kind of cool kids.
That's why Robin doesn't stay Robin for very long in that run.
Yeah.
They're like,
but
he's running around in little shorts and elf booties. Like, we need to do something about this.
But that made them very popular. The Wolfman run did, including there was an iconic arc, which was the Terra betrayal, which has been done in cartoons.
The Judas contract.
It was like a big Judas. How many pieces of silver was the Judas thing? Is that are already a lot of religious references today?
I don't remember.
8, 12, 16 pieces of
12 sounds right.
12 pieces of silver.
Maybe it was a baker's dozen.
Baker's dozen, but that's how much Terra was paid to betray the Teen Titans in Wolfman's run. And then the Titans got huge. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the early.
Well, it's
2000s.
sort of tangentially connected to that, because right before this arc or this run on this book starts, the Titans at the time, which is like Nightwing and Starfire and Donna Troy. At any rate, so they had a crossover with Young Justice, which was like the new Robin, Tim Drake, and Superboy, Connor Kent, and so on and so on, and Impulse. And, it caused the death of Donna Troy, and anyway, all the teams split up. So they reformed the Teen Titans under this incarnation, and then Nightwing and Arsenal went off to make The Outsiders, which is also a pretty good book. But anyway,
that was a great book.
This team consists of like the old guard, which is Cyborg, Starfire, and Beast Boy, and then the new kids coming in are Robin, Superboy, Wonder Girl, and Impulse, and who very quickly becomes Kid Flash in this. But pretty awesome, because this is as cool as Justice League finally getting Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman back on the team to me. because I was just like, why isn't Robin on the Teen Titans? Like, why,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Geoff Johns' run is like as it's considered as seminal, I think, as George Perez, Mark Wolfman's run. And as Joe is saying, the reason this one stands out is because the roster is so great, because you have Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy, who kind of represent the old guard.
Yeah.
And they used to be the new guard. They used to be the younger superheroes. Now they're moving into more of a mentorship thing. But then you bring in Kid Flash, Superboy, Wonder Girl, and Robin, who are like, they're the inheritors of those mantles from the original Teen Titans. So
it kind of flips, and it's kind of when Nightwing was Batman and Damian was Robin. Similar in the way that like Nightwing was still basically Robin and Damian was more of Batman in that. What's your overall take, Patty?
Well, my overall take is I love this run. This is where I got into comics like pretty seriously, because Al, you had this trade and I was at your house one day and we borrow it, and I really enjoyed it. And then Joe, I was working with you at the time and you were getting me really into comics. So
yeah,
when I started like buying comics on my own, I really loved this entire run. So this has a special place in my
remember
heart.
this period of time vaguely where like you would come in and be like, hey, I'm reading this. And I'm like, good. You should be like kind of thing. Like, this is a good book. You should read that.
For me, it holds up, but that might be the nostalgia. I just thought it was kind of like a base level, great superhero story where
I think it does a good job of holding up. I think it holds up.
Yeah, the first 6 issues I felt were very good at developing the characters. He made it very easy for it to be a jumping on point with this Teen Titans crew, because from the point of the POV of the younger Titans, the older Titans are kind of explaining to them who their past colleagues were, who their villains are. So the reader's kind of getting that information naturally, organically through that conversation.
Yeah.
And the conversations among Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Robin, and Superboy about like what happened with Graduation Day, with Donna Troy dying, and their different dynamics. I felt like all of it was done really well. So I really loved the character work in this book. And you really buy that Robin and Connor is Superboy. So Superboy and Robin are best friends. And I felt like the moments they have very much reflect that. Like I really genuinely buy.
Yeah. And it's pretty
friends.
Strong in those first 6 issues too.
Oh yeah.
The first 6 issues does a really good job of, one, like you were saying, establishing who these characters are if you are jumping on, but also like a very good job of explaining their dynamics between all four of them, really, and somewhat between Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Starfire. And that you can tell that the younger kids are the star of the show. Let's put it that way.
Cool to see them kind of butt heads with the older,
right? I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
but
which is great.
And again, this first 6 issues is about them kind of trying to find their feet, like as a team, like as a whole, which I really like. But then they sprinkle in enough like Raven pops up for a second, and a Little Brother Blood scene, and there's like a few, and like the little hints at Lex Luthor, and there's a few hints at Ares with Wonder Girl, and like there's a few like pepperings in of like future story arcs that are coming. That, I mean, like if you having read it, you're like, well, that's obvious now, but at the time, like they just did a really good job of kind of seeding future stories that are about to start showing up in the book. The next one obviously being Brother Blood. The first 6 issues does a good job of just, here's a fun story. Let's transform one of the characters. Let's get the characters all introduced to each other. Let's show who they are. Let's show the dynamics, and then let's also just pepper in some future story arc stuff. And
yeah, the core 4, we'll call them. That's an OC reference if y'all remember that. Superboy, Robin, Wonder Girl, and Kid Flash. They are the stars of the show in this book, and it was interesting because they're obviously the sidekicks of the big 3 plus Flash, who is right up there with them, and they all have different dynamics on how they feel about their mentors and how whether or not they even want to grow up to be those people. Like Robin is very much cut out to be Batman, but he doesn't want to be Batman. Then you have Wonder Girl, who's kind of like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And then Superboy, who kind of has this relationship with Superman, where Superman's kind of like a strict, judgmental father, but also wants the best for Superboy. But then Superboy knows he's not.
He wants Superboy to have his exact like upbringing.
Yeah,
almost. Like he's almost like, if you're gonna be like me, you need to have all the right. You have to check all these boxes, kind of thing.
And so there's just this there's like an underlying subtle pressure you feel on those core 4 characters about living up to these legacies. Not to mention the fact that they're the second sidekicks. you have all these other sidekicks that have already grown up into outstanding
Yeah,
superheroes.
like
and
for
there's just,
instance,
like,
Wally
added
West is
pressure.
the current Flash.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that about the legacies, sort of in a way, because and Bart does say one day I am gonna be the Flash. Like that's gonna happen, kind of thing. But he references replacing his grandfather, who is Barry Allen, not
Right,
Wally.
yeah.
Like he talks about like one day stepping into the shoes of Barry Allen, and which is interesting because like Wally doesn't have a Kid Flash, and Wally West was once the Kid Flash, kind of thing. So there's that. But also, their dynamic I find interesting because Wally never like mentored him. He
Right.
got rid of
yeah.
him immediately. Like he was with
Yeah.
Max Mercury and Jay Garrick, like some of the other Flashes, and like just kind of never had him as a sidekick. So it's kind of their dynamic is really interesting because they're not really together. Same with Wonder Girl and Wonder Woman, really.
Yeah.
I would say Donna Troy
those-
had more of a direct link to Wonder Girl, really, than
It almost seems like Wonder Woman's
Wonder
a lot
Woman
of
never did.
times not as. I mean, this is the meanest I've ever seen Wally West when he's talking about Bart Allen. Impulse.
He's kind of like that in his own book, though, a lot. So, like, it
Oh,
wasn't. It might be a little jarring outside of the context. Like, it's like seeing a caricature of him in another book, sort of. So, like, when you
Yeah.
have the overall arc of who Impulse was when he first showed up and, like, where Wally was in his run as Flash and, like, understanding, like, who he was, like, it's not that weird, but when you see it just out of context in this book, you're like, woof, he sounds like a dick. He's kind of an asshole.
Maybe Wally just knew that editors were going to bring Barry back and replace him, and he just wasn't
Probably.
happy
He's probably
with
pissed
all
about
that
it.
was going on. So
Yeah.
he was just
I'm gonna be here.
projecting that onto Impulse.
He's like, I don't even, who cares? Like, I'm not even going to be the Flash anymore.
My real take is I love it, still love it. Great first 6 issues. Also, not just this book, but all the books that were happening at this point. It's so nice to read a superhero story where it's not a multiverse situation, or like I can't read DC Comics right now. It's an omniverse and there's multiple multiverses and everything is a crisis, and it's a simpler story. You're fighting one villain. There's a lot of stuff going on with the characters, but I just loved it.
Al, what's your overall take?
So a little bit of background. The first trade paperback I ever bought was this. I was in Seattle at Pike Place Market, where there was a little comic book store, which may or may not still be there.
Probably not.
And the Teen Titans cartoon had just come out. Not the Teen Titans Go, but the original Cartoon Network Teen Titans cartoon had come out, and I enjoyed that. And I saw the little trade paperback. Saw Starfire's little butt on the cover, and my little teenage me was like, I'm going to purchase this. So loved it. Like, I really enjoyed it. Reading it now, it's just horseshit. It's everything a comic book shouldn't be, and it's terrible. But when I was 17 or whatever, it was great. So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
Why is it terrible?
It's bad shit. It's Slade's phantom son is taking everybody over, and Raven's being resurrected while people are getting shot in the kneecap. And then the Justice League is inexplicably angry at them and starting fight. It's all just nonsense.
We'll get to that. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's
It's all
but
nonsense.
Also, not really what happens, but okay.
It's all I mean, this is not a good story arc.
I don't
It's not a
understand.
good run.
I don't understand because it's just typical superhero comic stuff.
It's literally just as clean cut superhero comic as you can get.
It's
just like, here's the sidekicks. This is their little adventure. Anyway, I love Tim. He's literally my second favorite character in all of comics. So like, Tim on another book, I just saw it as like, oh yeah, I get more Tim, I'm in. And Connor Kent, Superboy, love him. He's great. And I'm a huge Flash fan, Wally West specifically, so I know all about Impulse. So if I'm following an Impulse onto the Teen Titans, this is a no-brainer buy for me.
I just think it's
I'm in.
nonsense.
I'm in all the
and
way.
terrible, but I did love it when I was younger. I really did love it, but just reading it now, it's not very good.
No one I think is funny. So getting into issue 1, and I can't wait to hear Al's negative remarks as we go on. But Martha Kent and Pa Kent are like, they draw them like Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. Like they have zero personality. Like every time they're cast in a show, they look nothing like this. Like, like it's just like, does that man look capable of farming a entire farm by himself? He's a dumpy old man with glass. Like, he looks like he can barely see the road. She's like, have a good day. And he's like, God damn it. And I'm like, I get it, Connor. I would be pissed too.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Superman's probably just been farming for them for the past 20 years.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he must have been.
He probably just.
But I mean, like in Smallville, like it's like believable because like his dad's like the guy from Dukes of Hazzard, and you're like, okay, that guy looks like he can farm a farm. You know what I mean?
Joe, you're just saying you need Pa Kent to be hot. Like,
I just
whether
need
it's Kevin Costner or Smallville guy, you just need an attractive older man to be. All right. Well, I'm sorry the Kents aren't young and hot.
They picked Superman up when he was a baby, and they were like 20. Anyway, Superboy skips school, and then Superman tells him to go back to school.
Well, it's just that conversation. You get a conversation with each set of hero and sidekick.
Hero, mentor, hero.
Superman kind of pretty biting with. It's weird because he kind of slaps Connor down and then builds him back up because Connor says, I'm a clone of the world's greatest hero, and then Superman goes, genetics don't make you a hero.
He's like, what's that supposed to mean? I think that what he's saying is like, you still need to learn to be a person and to care. I don't think he means like go learn to build a spice rack like he was complaining about or whatever, but he's like, you need to like, you need to take steps to be like the hero that you're gonna be. Like, I mean, be like, I've got your genetics, I'm good.
Well, I think generally
he needs it to be like a dick.
He's just a strict, but the next page is literally Batman and Robin, and it's the opposite. You would think like Superman kind of comes off as the very stern, strict father who then also like kind of he plays good cop and bad cop, where Batman kind of talks to Robin almost like Robin is a peer of his and not his son.
Well, so at this juncture in Tim's like run as Robin or like his career as Robin, they have a very clear, distinct like partnership. Like Tim and Bruce kind of like, they didn't fight or anything, but after the falling out that Bruce had with Dick, it kind of left this like, I can't control him, kind of thing. Robin, that is, like, so they had a different dynamic, and that's why kind of Tim had his own book. Like that was the justification of like Tim having his own Robin comic was like, I'm Batman's partner. I'm not like his sidekick. I'm not going to be with him all the time. I'm going to go do things and he's going to mentor me as a superhero. But like, we're not like, I don't like listen to him. He's not like, kind of thing. And I think that's why they're discussing it as if they truly are just partners, because they're not, he doesn't look down on him. And I think they do a good job of conveying that.
Yeah. And I think to both your points, I mean, at this point in time, Batman has a pretty long history of grooming young children. And so I think it's just easier for him to deal with Tim than Superman's newer at.
Yeah, he's like, I've done two of these already and fucked them up pretty hard. One of them. Yeah,
Batman's like, I'm used to traumatizing. I'm gonna
get this third time's a charm. I'm gonna get it right this time.
Yeah, he's just like, I know how to traumatize young children, and
I do actually like appreciate the Batman's line. He's like, what do you think I need? More training, more mentoring? He's like, no, I just think you need to see your friends more, kind of thing. And I was like, that was kind of adorable. Well, but adorable thing for Batman to say.
I mean, but also I think in terms of how they're trying to characterize the heroes, I think Geoff Johns' view is if you look at Superman, who is kind of this, even within the pantheon of heroes, is on a pedestal anyway, as like the perfect, model of like selfless hero and what that would be. And I think he's just trying to kind of extrapolate from that. Well, what would that look like if he had someone he was trying to what would someone who's so perfect, this alien, invincible being whose sole purpose is to save humans, how would he even relate to an apprentice figure? That's the way he's going for it. Is Superman really, he has difficulty applying the same standards he applies to himself to someone who's learning, and like, how does that work? So I think that's kind of what Geoff Johns was trying to build with that relationship.
It's also weird too and I think they explore this in the current Young Justice cartoon show, how Superman is very much disturbed by the idea of Superboy, because Superboy is like, Tim is an unrelated kid to Batman, and Superboy is Superman's clone. And it's also strange because Superboy's only been alive for like a year, technically.
And
He's like
Superboy, he's also half Lex Luthor, who's Superman's.
Well, they just find that out in
enemy,
this
so,
arc.
Yeah, that's
find
not
that
fun.
out,
And also Clark doesn't know. But that being said, Clark handles it the same way Wally does, actually, I think, which is, and they do expand that idea for Young Justice, the cartoon, Patty, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But like they definitely drive that home further, where Superman's almost like disturbed that Connor exists. You know what I mean? Less than like, oh, you need to just have the same upbringing that I had, and you'll be okay. You know, kind of thing. That's sort of what he's doing here. But he's also shoving the job of mentoring Connor onto his parents. You know what I mean? Like, and that's sort of what Wally does. Getting to the next scene, but Wally, like, because Wally, like, never really took Impulse under his wing. He just kind of taught him a few things and was like, "You have more time to teach him than I do, Max. Like, why don't you teach him?" Kind of thing. And then currently he's living with Jay Garrick, the old man Flash, you know, kind of thing. So you're just like, I like how one of the things Jay says, he's like, "Listen, we just think Teen Titans is a good move for him because we need the weekends off.
Yeah.
Have you had a speedster child in your house before? Because I haven't."
I want to talk
But
about
Wally's harsh in the sense that he's like, I like Bart, he's a good kid, but I don't know how much I believe in him. And I'm like, that's interesting. But like, maybe if you feel that way, you should be a stronger influence on him and not just cross your fingers that Jay Garrick's going to do a good job, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, Jay Garrick too has like real strong kind of Silver Fox, Zaddy, Tim Drake's dad vibes.
Yeah, he always has.
Yeah, he looks good.
He's
in
Jay
this.
Garrick, man.
We know John Wesley Shipp plays him in that Flash TV
He
show.
does, yeah.
It's just interesting. The introduction of the first issue, Superboy, Superman, it's kind of like an awkward father-son relationship. Batman, Robin's kind of more of a comfortable peer-to-peer relationship. And then Wally, the Flash, and Kid Flash, it's kind of like older brother, annoying younger brother. And then you get the Wonder Girl, and Wonder Woman is just completely absent from Wonder Girl's like life.
Yeah, she gets Starfire as her kind of bringer.
Well, that was the key. I mean, the key to that conversation is Starfire even says, like, Diana didn't want you to do this.
Right, yeah. Because
but I believe in young people having a say, and I think that's ridiculous, and you should have the invitation. She didn't even want me to come to you with the invitation, or she declined giving you the invitation.
When we meet Wonder Girl, she's like interviewing to go into a school with her mom, and she's been kicked out of like 10 schools because she keeps getting in trouble, I guess because of her superpowers. But the headmistress is pretty nasty, but I thought, like, in practical terms, I mean, the God of War is like literally stalking Cassie at the moment. Like, yeah, she got a point. I wouldn't want that girl at my school either.
I think the key is like, yeah, they kind of make it like she's being ridiculous. Like, I don't want Cassie at my school,
right,
but like Cassie has just been revealed as Wonder Girl, so her powers, she doesn't have a secret identity basically. So like, weird shit keeps showing up at school and stuff and fucking around. So like, she's like, yeah,
huge liability.
Basically, the government came to us and said, we're going to have to worry about supervillains possibly attacking our school, you know, kind of thing. And they're just like, we might not need to have your daughter here. And the mom was like, you know, she's got to have an education. And she's like, yeah, but she's not normal. And she's going to get other kids murdered, you know, kind of thing. And I don't really think what she was doing necessarily. No. I mean, it comes off as like, fuck you, get out of my school. But like, it's not. It's so reasonable. It's not even funny, I guess.
A small tangent is later in the comics, is Cassie related to Ares? Because he looks just like her when he takes his mask off.
Well, Cassie is Zeus's daughter, right? So I guess they're half siblings,
she's directly Zeus's daughter.
Brother
Cassie and Ares would be half sister, half brother.
Half brother,
yeah.
So Starfire takes her to the Titans, the island, I guess. But like Beast Boy, man. Talk about every line. I mean, we've talked about like Green Lantern Kyle in the Justice League comics. Like, man, Beast Boy is like literally every other word out of his mouth is like, "Come in my room, let's have sex. Come in my room, let's have sex.
Yeah,
I'll follow you anywhere." Like, it's just like with any woman, like any woman of any age, it doesn't matter. He's just like, "Oh, you have a vagina."
It's not a good look. Also, so Starfire kind of gets the Wonder Woman JLA treatment, where every other line is like, "She's got a great bod."
Yeah.
Did you see her?
Yeah.
Well,
she does.
She kind of gets.
She does.
A great body. I'm obsessed with Starfire.
I mean, I'm not commenting on whether she doesn't have a hot body, but I just think, you know, it's not a good workplace environment for when everybody's just.
Well, I mean, like her peers aren't saying it, at least other than Beast Boy. at least not. It's just Beast Boy, and it's not like Cyborg, Robin, and oh wait, never mind. Connor does say something later.
Yeah, Connor. Connor used to be my favorite superhero of all time, and he still holds a special place in my heart. But reading these the last few weeks, I'm like, God, he was a really annoying character sometimes. Like, I can kind of understand why Superman's like, get your shit together, kid.
By the way, and this is just a real quick. Speaking of Starfire's, it's on the topic of Starfire's body. She goes, "This is pretty amazing. Blah blah blah. Who built this place?" And Starfire's like, "Well, Vic designed it, but the city of San Francisco, with the help of some Silicon Valley folks, paid for it in exchange for a few ellipses favors." And then she goes, "I'm in charge of that." And I was like, "What the hell does that mean? Like, what kind of favors?"
Yeah,
It's the city of San Francisco and some weird Silicon Valley companies that are funding Titans Tower.
I think it's actually Beast Boy that says it though. But I did at first. I thought it was Starfire as well.
Oh my god, I thought it was Starfire,
and that's why I like reread
so much better,
like,
but also
okay.
weird still.
But also, yeah, Beast Boy. What are you?
So another quick side.
I didn't even see Beast Boy. He's just a little dog. I didn't see that. I thought it was Starfire talking. Everyone's real mad at Impulse too when he shows up. He's like, Cassie, and he gives her a hug, and she's like, "Get off!" And he's like, "What?"
I mean, he's a little shit until he becomes Kid Flash and reads the library.
He's a little bit younger, right? And he also had a weird upbringing too. He grew up really fast in a virtual reality world.
He was the Speed Force like sped up how fast he grew.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, that's
and he was raised in virtual reality.
Yeah, that's kids growing up on their Meta Oculus Rifts and iPads now. If you know what I mean. Tain't no different.
Robin's wearing a cute little short cape with like a little yellow trim, and then they quickly drop that. I thought that was funny. And even Impulse literally goes, "Oh, that's a nice cape. Is that a new cape?" or something like that. And he's like, "Fuck off, Impulse."
And he doesn't wear it again.
Yeah, no. And that's, "Hey, is that a new cape? It looks nice." And he's like, "Get out of here. I'm taking this cape off. I'm never wearing it again."
Let's check in quick on McKone's art. Reading it now, it's just very generic early 2000s.
I think it's still good. I like it overall.
Yeah, I like it.
It still holds up.
He's not my favorite artist, but a lot of stuff he does, I just love the way he draws Starfire, especially when she's flying. The way her hair is kind of like a flame trail, and I like the little
that's classic with George Perez.
Yeah, but the way he does it, some of the ways artists draw it, it looks really kind of strange because it still looks like actual hair, and I just like the effect that it looks like it's actual fire.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
the little lightning bolts that come out of Kid Flash's little lightning bolts on the side of his ears. So the one thing I don't love about it is some of the compositions of the panels. And then he'll have random panels where the background is just like a color.
Yeah, it's just a blank background, yeah. One positive I wanted to bring up is I do like his action scenes. Like this one of Robin and Deathstroke fighting. Like I like the composition.
That's great. That's great.
So as a positive, I did want to say that.
I appreciate it for its cleanliness. Like, there's no unused lines, so there's that. So it's like, it's sparing in terms of like how much movement there is and other things like that. But like, he's pretty clean with his backgrounds. Everyone looks like they're in the scene, for the most part. I mean, like, I'm on that scene in the first issue where Robin's talking to Superboy at night, and it's pretty straightforward. I mean, like, it just looks like everything's drawn with a ruler, I guess. But, like, kind of thing, other than that.
Yeah,
but,
it's
like,
very clean.
It looks fine. It look clean lines, and, the people are standing, they feel like they're not floating in front of the background, I guess, what I'm saying.
Right. Again, the nostalgia for me, too, is another reason why I probably really love his art. And I think he actually gets better as well, because one of the more fun storylines in this run is when they go to the future and meet their future selves, and I felt like all the designs of their future selves were amazing.
Yeah, he comes into his own as this goes on, but I think he's still pretty good in the early issues. Everyone looks distinct. Sure. Like, I mean, Robin and Superboy
I do like that.
Could like be. I mean, they're both young men that are superheroes that have dark hair and they're white. Like, they could be interchangeable to a bad artist. And Superboy's face next to Robin's face, they look different. They don't look like the same person.
He does take the time. Even the way he draws the Justice League, like, they all have different builds. Kid Flash is skinny. Superboy's more broad-chested. Robin is obviously fit, but he's more of like an acrobat type body.
Everyone's proportioned nicely, and it looks good. I mean, like I said, it's clean. It's proportioned nicely. They all fit in the scene. Like, is it blowing my mind? No, but like it looks good, and I'm I can move on.
I just wanted to point out this scene with Superboy and Robin at night is very cute because Robin's on his laptop and they're making small talk, and then there's an awkward silence panel and it's just Robin typing, and the next panel is just Robin looking at Superboy because he's still standing there, and he's like, "Did you want something?"
He's like, "Why did we all come here?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And again, I do
Robin
like
was
the end
a
of that
force,
resolution though. Is like he's like, "Well, why don't we just stay as friends and just see where this goes?" And Robin's like, "Yeah, yeah, okay," kind of thing. Like, you're right. I've been thinking about this all wrong. Like Batman said the same thing to me basically.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't really
And look,
like that.
and 20 years later, Superboy's gay, so we come a long way.
Well, it's a different Superboy.
Well, but I mean, I just mean at this point in time, they can't be in love, but 20 years later, you can have a gay Superboy.
Well, Robin's probably in love with him on some level because he's bi.
I did kind of read it with that context, and it does kind of work a bit. Some of the panels.
It does. Oh,
there's actually
Tim Drake being bisexual or whatever spectrum of sexuality they want to put him on, or I don't think he's literally bisexual.
Is he pan?
I don't know. The point is, I think that's one of the changes in sexuality over the course of current comics that I think they've handled very well. And like going back, not necessarily in this, but there are moments in this, but like there's some weird things that have come out of his mouth in terms of Connor, just the way they talk to each other, not in this 6 issues, but like later on in the Teen Titans, that like people have circled back to him and like, look right here. And I was like, huh, yeah, maybe it has been there all along, kind of thing. Like they've handled him coming out or making this transition of like trying out having a boyfriend versus a girlfriend in recent comics very well. I don't think they messed this one up. Let's put it that way. I mean, like of all the ways like to do this to a character that's traditionally been straight, like this one makes the most sense to me. I mean, there's moments in this, like we were just joking about it. Connor makes a comment on Starfire's body, and Robin doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, I'm like, yeah, that means nothing, literally. But at the same time, that could speak volumes if you're going back in time and going, huh, interesting, kind of thing. Like, so those moments are there. It's just interesting how I wonder if they always thought of him that way. Or if it would, like that could be subtext.
There's no, I would, maybe I'm being too pessimistic, but I would assume that like the editors of DC weren't planning on Robin being
bisexual. No, of course not. I don't think so. There's certain like character bibles of certain characters, and that could just be like he's not sure, or like that could just be, it could be like a one line and a thing, and other writers throughout the years have either acted upon that or not. I mean, who knows? Probably not, though. I'm giving them way too much credit. That being said, it still retroactively sort of fits with him. And I don't find it jarring to his character. It doesn't like ruin his character to me. Like I'm not like, oh, how dare you change him, kind of thing. Like I'm just like, oh, okay, that works.
I loved Tim Drake getting like an Outlook email that Superboy is Lex Luthor's clone. I was like, what? But he just got a Microsoft Outlook email explaining that Cadmus Labs made Superboy.
Outlook Express. I mean, that's how superheroes search the web out.
I guess that's how they.
And I love the photo. Emails. I love the photo they chose to attach with Lex Luthor as well.
Well, again, to Mike McKone, I mean, it's not huge and omnipresent, but he has expression and he shows differences in how people look, and like I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Issue 2 starts with
Deathstroke
talking to the dead, decapitated head of his like confidant. I guess that would be what Wintergreen, or maybe his contact, or whoever gives him assassin jobs. I think
Wintergreen was basically like his Wintergreen is to Deathstroke as Alfred is to Batman. Kind of. He didn't raise Deathstroke, but like he has that.
Yeah, but he's also like the one who's like, here's your next contract, blah, blah, blah.
Right. But I think they've been working together for so long that I guess the point is the fact that Deathstroke has killed Wintergreen is pretty shocking.
It's shocking and weird, but also when you get further into the book and it's not Deathstroke, it's Jericho, you're like, oh, well, that's even weird.
Yeah. And
why did you murder him?
Yeah.
If all you care about is getting back on the Teen Titans thing and like stopping the kids from being heroes, like, Why are you murdering Wintergreen? Like, what did he do?
I think he just hated his dad because he was living in his dad's
maybe.
head for like years.
Yeah.
But then even, again, this is great Geoff Johns writing. I feel like Geoff Johns' career kind of goes all over the place. But there's later in this issue, or in this run, Deathstroke has like an internal monologue, and he talks about how Jericho killed Wintergreen when he was in Deathstroke's body. And he's like, I'll never forget Wintergreen's last words. And Wintergreen said something along the lines of like, I guess it was just a matter of time or something like that. Like implying that Wintergreen always assumed Deathstroke was going to kill him someday. So this was just a very, I think character wise, this was just such a great start to this run.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if maybe Geoff Johns was the first one who did this, or it goes back to the Wolfman run. But for a while, Deathstroke was sort of like a joke villain who fought kids, and then at a certain point, I mean, he kind of made a shift into like in the Teen Titans TV show, he was a very like menacing, scary figure. And then he also kind of made that transition in the comics. Like in this comic, he's pretty like a capable.
I think that goes back to Wolfman run.
It goes back to Wolfman.
I mean, he was a serious threat in that.
Yeah, and even we mentioned it in Identity Crisis when he fought the mainline heroes. But yeah, at a certain point, he kind of transitioned from like joke dude who fought kids to like actually like a scary mercenary.
I think he had become a joke
threat
around this point, and this was like kind of him coming back stronger as like a real villain.
Yeah. I still loved, in terms of all the Slades, the Teen Titans cartoon one I really liked.
Oh, yeah.
He was just like a really mysterious
With the Red X storyline?
figure. Yeah.
Yeah.
He reminded me of Amon from Legend of Korra a bit.
Yeah.
Same kind of creepy vibes.
Interesting. Well, speaking of Robin having an attraction to men and women, he's just watching Superboy swim in a pool.
I was going to say, Superboy is
Nothing
ripped.
weird there. Nothing
He's
weird going on
definitely-
He's
there.
just half naked, and he's like, hey, what are you doing?
Definitely on the Snyder scale.
He's like, why do you do that?
Snyder's
He's like, do
use
what?
It's also like
Oh,
8 a.m.
there's,
and Robin's in full costume.
No. Robin's always in full costume. He's a professional, goddammit. I do like how he's like
pretty
swimming
much
in...
everybody is on the Snyder Zeus scale, Patrick.
Wait, is
McKone
it?
and
What? Everyone?
Superboy,
They're all
Cyborg.
ripped to shit. They're all ripped to shit.
You used to... we need to clarify this. Look, we're going into our new year. We need to clarify what the Snyder Zeus scale means. You know,
Everyone's ripped, dude. Even Impulse is like 8 years old, and he's got a full 6-pack, and he's like, everybody's ripped.
Impulse has no fat on his body. He runs at super speed.
But yeah, so this big issue, Deathstroke shows up and lures the Titans into a fight. And it's a pretty good fight. Like Al said before, I think the choreography that Mike McKone does is great.
The fight with Robin's awesome.
The fight with Robin's great. The big thing that happens in this issue is that Impulse... Also, I kind of felt bad for Impulse because they all kind of talk down to him and he gets insecure. So he runs into that building because they tell him to, and Deathstroke is waiting for him and blows his kneecap off, which was pretty gruesome.
That was pretty shocking at the time, for sure. Because, like, this kind of violence, that doesn't happen. Usually it's just like, bam, pow, oh, you're in jail now, supervillain, you know, kind of thing. So, like, when you have something visceral like this, you're like, oh, shit.
Or like a shot through your shoulder where it goes through your whole body and just a hole, like his entire knee.
Yeah.
He puts it on the shotgun on his knee.
Or there's a lot of laser beams and like people get hit by stuff, but they just like heal, or it's Superman and who cares? And it's just like to see like true violence and just hatred of them. And he's trying to prove a point. He's like, tell the Titans, kids shouldn't wear costumes. And he just blows his kneecap off. You're like, holy shit.
And there's a fire, and Superboy almost kills everyone by using his telekinesis to open a gas line that he thought was a water line. So that could have ended a lot worse than it did.
Superboy fucks up, basically. So there's a little subtle, I mean, not subtle storyline, but part of the storyline that they're trying to work out is like the older heroes of Starfire, Cyborg, and Beast Boy trying to deal with stuff and like mentor them at the same time. And they're like, we've been doing this a long time. Like, we know what we're doing. Like, let us do things, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's happening. And obviously, it's amplified by Impulse getting his kneecap blown off. I loved all the doctor scenes of like he's healing and he's not healing correctly, and they're like, we have to, and then they're like, we have to cut his knee up, and he's like, get some, you know.
So that's the very beginning.
Give him something
of
for the
issue
pain,
3.
and he's like, he'll process it too fast. There's no
Yeah.
point. And they're like, holy shit. I mean, Impulse is kind of a badass here.
This has made me fall in love with this character because, as you just said, Cyborg rushes into the hospital and the doctor's like, "Oh shit, we got to like operate right now, give him anesthetic," and Cyborg's like, he can't take anesthetic, it breaks it down quickly. And then he's like, his knee's already partially healed, and Cyborg says it heals fast, not correctly. So gist of it is, Impulse can't get painkillers while they're trying to replace his knee with an.
They're gonna have to cut his tendons and recut his tendons and recut his tendons to put them back in the right place. Yeah, it's crazy.
And it even goes to the point, like, after Bart is fixed, he leaves the hospital, right, when Wonder Girl, Superboy, and Robin show up. And the doctor's kind of trying to talk to him. He's like, it's kind of amazing how fast he left. Like, they're like, he's tough. He's like, no, like, we cut through like a lot of ligaments over and over and over again.
They're like 25 minutes after we put his fake patella in, like, and they're like, what? And he's like, he has a fake kneecap now, but other than that, he was fine, and he was up 25 minutes later and left.
The one other point I want to make about this one scene, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying about Mike McKone and doing facial expressions. So Cyborg is the one that brings Impulse to the hospital, and he says, this is going to hurt Impulse, and Impulse says, I don't care, just don't tell the Flash I messed up. So that's all that Bart cares about, is making sure Wally doesn't think less of him. The next panel is Cyborg, and Cyborg just looks so furious, and you just get the impression that he's furious with Wally for making Bart feel like so insignificant. It was just a very touching, like, Cyborg was a great mentor. I loved Cyborg's character in this. Like,
Cyborg is really cool.
Great leader.
You know what's funny about that? I mean, I've been reading the Titans, and I've been a fan of Robin and Kid Flash and Wally West and all these characters for so long, back to the Wolfman run. But like, this was kind of like a really interesting. I'd never really liked Cyborg, you know what I mean, kind of thing. I was just like, oh, he's there, he's a fun character, whatever. But like, this actually made me like Cyborg way more than I ever had before. Like, the way he mentors the younger kids here, and he's like in charge, but he lets them be in charge too. And like, I don't know, everything about Cyborg's character in this is the only time I'd ever actually gone, oh, so there's more to Cyborg than just being around and doing computer shit.
Yeah, no, he's a good leader to the team. One side note, because it happens kind of right after this. So if I were creating a team of teen heroes and wanted to motivate them to be like good heroes, one thing I wouldn't do is create a hall of wax statues of dead teenagers who had their job previously.
You need to honor who came before, Al.
I feel like
it's not just about them.
Are lifelike wax statues of dead teenagers the best way to honor them?
To add to the drama of it, in the first issue, Wonder Girl's like, what's through that door? And Starfire's like, oh, that's not for your eyes now. You'll see that later. It's like, what's in it?
You're like,
oh,
wow.
all the dead Titans are in here. You guys keep a little fucking memorial in the lobby of the Titans Tower. Great.
Well, maybe it's not about the kids. Maybe that's there for the adults that have to deal with that pain and trauma of all the lost brethren they've had.
There's
also a bizarre scene in way later issues where Tim Drake is in there and Jason Todd dressed himself up as his younger tights-wearing version and posed as the wax statue version, and then attacked Tim when he was in the room in a really bizarre exchange. And I just... It's a weird room to have, and it's weird to have wax statues of dead people.
The Red Hood, when Jason Todd came back at the Red Hood, I thought he was so cool. And then there's this issue of Teen Titans where he shows up at the tower to beat up Tim, and he's in his Red Hood costume, and he tears it off, and he's wearing his old Robin costume. And it's awful. He looks so ridiculous because he's like a grown man wearing a 14-year-old boy's
tights and like the little he's wearing like the yellow tights.
That one issue just ruined.
I don't think that's weird at all.
Another point of Superboy acting like a total asshole. Superboy literally goes, "What is all this?" And Starfire goes, "A memorial." And they get to the Golden Eagle statue, and Superboy goes, "The Golden Eagle? Who the hell?" And Starfire
it's just like. These are a memorial to all our friends, and he's like, "Who the fuck is this?" I've never heard of him at all.
And Starfire cuts him off and is immediately like, "Charlie was strangled by the Wildebeest Society. He's dead, Connor. What are you doing?"
An enemy he never even met before he was murdered by him. Holy shit! He was
strangled to death.
Well, I think this goes into.
I mean, to Al's point, I think this is very important right now.
No, but part of why I didn't like this on rereading it is a lot of it was like it felt like they were really forcing the feeling of like these are teenagers, they're angsty, they're angry, this sucks, I'm a teenager, you know. It just felt very forced, and that's one example of Connor just kind of being like too cool for the memorial.
I do agree with that sentiment because Runaways kind of came out around the same time as this. And I remember the Runaways definitely felt like teenagers, the way Vaughn wrote them compared to the Teen Titans. Like, granted, there's differences because the Teen Titans have been working with superheroes for a while. So they might be
and they're more established as characters too.
Yeah.
But those are brand new characters. Yeah.
There were times where it did feel like Geoff Johns was trying to like really emphasize that they're still kids and, you know, make mistakes.
But why attack now? And why are you showing us this? You need to understand how serious this is. I think we get it. We've been superheroes for a minute. Like, we watched Donna Troy get murdered. Remember? You know, like I don't. That's the part of that where I'm like, I get it, Wonder Girl. I'm on your team. I'm on your side. Why also, Starfire randomly like?
Not to get
and here's what death means. And like, we're here we're here because of a death.
And not to go on a total tangent, but I really don't understand how Donna dying caused this weird ripple effect where both teams disbanded, and then it wasn't anyone's fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. If it was Donna's fault, if anybody's, because she wasn't paying attention and she got shot through the chest while she was fighting. Superman enjoyed. Like, girl, you've been at this for a while.
It's Donna's fault. How dare you, idiot?
I think what
how many bolts have you blasted off with those bracelets?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think they were trying to use it as a catalyst for, like, the kids, quote unquote, growing up. Because, I mean, other older superheroes had died before, but this was like a mainline teen hero dying. And I guess they wanted to use that as a catalyst of like the kids having to face death for the first time.
Right.
And how that would affect Young Justice and the Titans at the time. Because this wasn't, you know, whatever, like Green Lantern going crazy, as we've talked about, just going insane and doing whatever he did, and all these adults dying. But this was someone their age. This was like a teen friend of theirs dying, and how that would affect young people who maybe aren't so used to, I don't know, wartime deaths or things like that.
Yeah. It was just weird how the adults, I mean, they keep saying they don't blame them for her death, but it kind of feels like they do. And the fact that, like,
no, they definitely blamed Superman. They're like, it was your cyborg that did it.
Yeah, that's a great scene. I love Starfire in this.
Yeah. And then Superman's just like, well, yeah, I guess I should have decommissioned that robot.
You know. But so Starfire was like, hey, here's all our dead friends. And then she says, because we die so easily, we want you four to stay at the tower, and me and Beast Boy and Cyborg are going to fight Deathstroke. And Wonder Girl and Superboy are pissed about that, and Robin agrees with Starfire, and he's like, yeah, no, she's right. We should stay here. But it was a misdirect, and Robin lied, and they're sneaking out. And it's one of my favorite lines in this first 6 issues. Robin's literally cutting a Batman-shaped hole in the glass of his bedroom. And Cassie goes, wait a second, you just lied to Starfire? And then he goes, I lied to Batman, which I thought was really fun. And the fact that he made a hole shaped like Batman, like the bat signal, like just to make sure Starfire knew, like, this was my idea, bitch. Robin did this.
Yeah. No, I do like how he just says, like, I lie to everybody. It's like, yeah, I lie to Batman. I lie all over.
I like how he just ignored them the whole way up there.
Yeah, they had so many questions.
Well, you're just gonna listen to her? What the fuck? Blah blah blah. Like, and he's just like, I'm just gonna cut a whole ship like Batman.
Like, Tim is definitely on a different level. Like, the way they look at Tim is very much the way the JLA looks at Batman, but like even on a more extreme level.
I've been here over an hour.
That was actually
we skimmed over that. That happened.
I love the fact that he didn't say an hour though. He's like, well, I've been here for a few minutes. I've been here for a
few minutes.
No, he just said
a few minutes is fine. That's totally fine.
Tim,
he's also not on a weird, dirty ledge hidden in the shadows. He was just like probably like behind. He was probably just like around the corner.
Tim, did you lie to Starfire? I lied to Batman. I've been lying for over an hour.
Been lying since you met me. No,
nothing I ever say is true.
Beast Boy goes, Robin, when did you get here? And Robin says, a bit ago. I've just been listening. He's so creepy. A bit ago? What does that mean?
And why are you listening? To collect data? Yeah, I mean, there's the brief encounter with not really Slade on the roof with Cyborg and Beast Boy.
Oh, yeah, that's the very end of the issue. So Cyborg and Beast Boy are with Bart at the hospital, and then Slade, Deathstroke, is on the top of the roof, and they fight. And then it's revealed that it's not Deathstroke, it's Jericho.
It's Jericho.
Yeah, and he keeps calling him Vic, which I was like, why is he calling him Vic? When he's like, I'm not your friend, stop calling me that. I was like, I would actually feel the same way. Why is he calling you Vic?
The other thing so Jericho's been dead since like the 80s, right? So how long has he been in Slade? This
like
is
comic book time, like probably just 1 year. Who knows?
Okay.
I mean,
comic book time? Who knows? 2 years?
Yeah.
This whole shit was just insane to me.
Well, I didn't mind it because, like, so if you don't know, Jericho is Deathstroke's son, and his power was that he can like possess their people. So kind of like Karma from the X-Men. And Deathstroke kills his own son because he went crazy or something. I don't know what that storyline was all about, but Deathstroke kills him. And when he kills him, Jericho's consciousness, because that's his superpower, goes into Deathstroke's body. And he just kind of recuperates inside Deathstroke's brain until he's strong enough to take over Deathstroke's body. And then I guess he's still a little bit crazy because Jericho's whole plan is he wants to kill all of the sidekicks so that they'll stop being heroes and stop.
He doesn't want anyone to die like he did, so he's going to make an example of one of them. Titans. And then as it progresses, he goes, "Fine, if I need to kill you all, then I need to kill you all." And I was like,
"Makes
"Shit,
perfect sense."
Yeah, you're crazy.
And he's got to make eye contact with you to possess you.
By the way, classic comics. We were just talking about violence and the shotgun blast, right? Like, Beast Boy is a bear and just shreds Deathstroke's abdomen, and there's literally 0 damage other than his little scales go flying. And I was like, what the fuck?
Because
like,
Beast Boy sucks, and he's like,
yeah,
the worst
Beast Boy sucks.
But how do you? So you just grabbed the chainmail and that's it, and not a single cut?
Joe, I challenge you to read all of DC history and show me a scene where Beast Boy does anything fucking useful. Dude sucks.
And
I mean, I'm well aware of that. Do you know how I was talking about how this book made me really highly respect Cyborg and really enjoy his character for the first time ever? Did not work for Beast Boy.
Right, yeah, no.
I was just like, get off the team.
He's the worst. He's just,
I never liked him.
He just never uses his power. Why don't you just become an elephant and stomp people? Like, why do anything else other than that?
I mean, the Rhino thing was kind of cool, but it
never worked. His stuff never works. He's a useless.
I mean, you know what? If he was really good, he'd be able to transform like super fast, and he could just be like a ladybug, and then suddenly he'd be a rhinoceros and just like smash into somebody.
Well, he should be a ladybug and fly into Deathstroke's mouth and then become an elephant.
And then become an elephant.
Destroy the bad person.
There was a really cool issue of Justice League that was about Vixen, and she's fighting some like crazy robot or something like that. The way they displayed her powers was in her head. You hear what animal she's thinking about. And so she's in the air, and it's like Peregrine Falcon, and then she dives, and like right before she hits the robot, it just says Triceratops. So like she basically becomes insanely heavy while she's moving insanely fast, and just like shreds this robot. It's like, why doesn't Beast Boy ever do anything like that? He never does anything like that.
Yeah, but Beast Boy is just awful, and also his origin story is bonkers.
You know,
like,
they make
both
him
Young Justice and the comics.
Yeah, but at least in Young Justice, it's like, okay, I get it.
But in the comics, it's crazy. He was like. He got adopted by the Doom Patrol.
Listen, Beast Boy sucks.
All of it was weird.
Yeah, we agree.
Yeah, they really tried to make Beast Boy the star of that show, and it really just. I don't know. It's the character cursed. I know a lot of people that love. Not a lot of people, but like on the interwebs, there's a lot of people that like Beast Boy, and I don't get it.
The only time I've ever even half liked him was Young Justice. So good, bravo, Young Justice, for even making me care at all. So they show up at the hospital. Kid Flash is gone, and they show up at the library. Do you want to?
Well, this is the funny part with the doctor when they show up to get see Impulse, and he's already gone, and the doctor goes,
"My God, more of you!"
Yeah. Well, he goes, his pain threshold was particularly amazing considering the ligaments we had to tear. And Wonder Girl interrupts him and just goes, "Okay, we get the picture. Where'd he go?" Like, he's telling
also, on that doctor's like. another like check plus for that doctor way back when Cyborg's talking with him. He's like describing all the problems they're gonna have trying to help Impulse, and he basically goes, "All right, well, I guess we're gonna have to move faster than him." You know, and I was just like, that was. The doctor just accepted that challenge like it was nothing and moved and he's like, all right, surgery, no painkillers, got it. I guess we're gonna have to move faster than he can.
Well, I'd love to see the hospital bill for all of that, though. You know what I mean? It's got to be at least 6 figures for all that.
Silicon Valley folks took care of it. Beast Boy's doing some favors.
Beast Boy's doing stuff for them.
Who knows what he's doing for them? I don't know.
Sexual, obviously.
Like,
has to be, right? For weird silicon billionaires? I mean, no, I bet Beast Boy's I bet he's a blood boy.
They're all into bestiality, and he can provide any animal.
That's what I'm saying. Is that what he was implying? What was Geoff Johns implying? What was he implying?
No, I bet they're farming whatever. What's that?
What was he implying?
What's the blood thing that young people have that keeps the rich people immortal?
Is that
adrenochrome or whatever?
He's a blood boy?
I bet they're farming beast adrenochrome from him.
Yeah, but wouldn't they all turn into Beast Boys? Consider.
No, they would just keep being immortal vampires, which is what they already are.
I love how they move into the library and they're like, "It's not a ghost, guys. It's Impulse. He's reading all these books." And they're like, "Well, yeah, but wouldn't he know we were here?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're here. He knows." You know, like Robin's like, "Yeah, he knows we're here."
I like how, again, Robin just figures it out immediately. He's like, "No, he's reading every book in the library." Oh, did we mention the fact that Impulse has a photographic memory? So everything he reads at super speed, he remembers forever.
We did not.
That's real
typically, the big deal with that is like typically, like Barry Allen's used that way back in the day, and Wally as well. And the caveat to that ridiculous power is that they can read almost anything to like obtain the knowledge they need to like do whatever they need to do, like physics or whatever it is, like to make their powers do a certain thing that they need to do, or whatever comic they're in, or whatever story arc's happening. But the caveat is like the memory fades because they read at such speeds that like their brain can't hold on to the information. It kind of like evaporates. So like about a day later or so, they could read an entire library, but at a day later they'd be like, I don't really remember all that. That was pointless, you know, kind of thing. And I guess the difference is that Impulse can. Which would make him ridiculously powerful. Like,
how is he not like the most powerful being in the world when he's faster than light and has all knowledge? But
I think they just kind of dropped. They just like it was one of those powers that they just kind of slowly were like, oh, remember? I think
they used it to grow him up, and I think that was
right.
Like they're like, I read these books, and now I'm not an impulsive child anymore, and I get it. And I'm a grown-up now. You know,
they also do a pretty good job of like, because Tim is there and Tim is a true genius, and you get Bart's POV a lot, and Bart is like in love with Tim, and he thinks Tim's so cool because of how smart he is. And they do try to make it like Bart has a lot of information, but his like deductive reasoning and cognitive abilities are not like a genius level. It's basically if you could Google anything you wanted super fast in your head, but not really know.
Which we all can.
Yeah. So
I mean, now we all have smartphones, so we don't need kid flashes.
Yeah, we're all Impulse, right?
Yeah.
You know, every one of us is.
Get rid of it. And then Cassie.
They didn't Bart die, or am I making that up?
They all. You know what's interesting?
I mean, haven't they all?
All these characters, like, have been replaced in current DC continuity. Like, they're still around, but like you've got
they're back.
They're around, but who's Superboy?
Well, Impulse, really.
Jonathan Kent, and then you got Wallace West II is Kid Flash, and then you have Yara is the new Wonder Girl, and then you have Damian is the new Robin. Like these four are just
so
like...
Bart Allen is Impulse again, and he's currently around.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah,
but still, like they're not the legacy holders as much as it's kind of like DC.
Tim has made a strong comeback, but the rest of them not so much.
Yeah. Superboy, I feel like, has majorly been sidelined. I mean, Jonathan
Damian
Kent
took Tim's spotlight for like a long time, and I think they've slowly shifted. Tim has slowly shifted back into like relevancy really recently.
All right, next issue. What's going on? Do they defeat Slade yet?
Well, we have a little scene here. They leave the library to let Bart do his thing, and we see Cassie get the lasso from Ares, and I love her lasso because it shoots lightning out of it. But
it's cool that her lasso is a weapon and not not just like tell me the truth.
Yeah, her lasso is awesome.
Yeah, the truth is probably the most powerful weapon there is.
It's a powerful weapon.
I don't know. Zeus's lightning is also pretty powerful.
True.
But I just wanted to make another little note about like the character work and the relationships between the friends. You have Wonder Girl, Superboy, and Robin are standing there, and Deathstroke throws a grenade at him, and Wonder Girl and Superboy both shield Robin from the grenade. And I've probably read this comic 50 times, and I just caught that this time I read it.
Yeah, because it looks like Superboy says, Robin, get down. But what's happening is Cassie says, Robin, and Superboy says, get down. And they both tackle around him and stop him from getting
because they're both invulnerable. Yeah.
Right.
I was like,
and even then, Robin does get a little hurt from that. He's got, he's got some like tears in his costume.
And that leads into the Deathstroke Robin fight. And this, I mean, Robin was fantastic
just
in this.
Sucker punched.
Just like...
And he still holds his own. Dude, are you kidding? Like, he says Deathstroke, and then there's a gunshot above his head, which he dodges. And then he says, let's go. And he's like, you're for real? I'm sure you're good, kid, but you're not that good. And right before he says good, he gets smashed in the face. And that's pretty cool. And then he gets his ass handed to him because it's Deathstroke. But it's still pretty awesome.
A Deathstroke note I wanted to make. So he's carrying what looks pretty clearly like a shotgun. And when he shoots Kid Flash, it looks like it's probably a shotgun. But then when he shoots Robin, the Kid Flash catches...
I think it's just comic book gun. You know?
But the Kid Flash catches a bullet in his hand, not shotgun shot, which would have come out of a shotgun.
Pellets, yeah.
So I feel like, Geoff Johns, America's a country where we know about guns. You know, you got to like do guns accurately. Because if there's one thing Americans know, it's guns. So don't show me a shotgun that shoots a microscopic rifle bullet that Kid Flash stops.
It's not a microscopic rifle bullet. It's a Nitro Express cartridge with the velocity of 2,000 FPS.
No, but look at Kid Flash's hand. It's like that, as if the bullet were that big.
He's Kid Flash. He could have caught all the bullets and just melted them into...
I'm sorry. Geoff Johns, you got to do better, bro. This is a land of guns. We know about guns.
Well, if you don't...
I mean, again, it looks like a shotgun, but it's a comic book gun, and none of it makes any sense ever.
Also, I don't like the message this comic is sending because it sounds like it's implying that guns can't just solve any problem you have. And clearly the gun could have solved Deathstroke's problem because...
especially not for hunting, as Impulse points out. And then Robin goes, Impulse? And he goes, nope.
Kid Flash.
And I was like, that was pretty awesome. So again, like the transformation of Impulse to Kid Flash with the shotgun blast to the knee and the learning in the library to like grow up and stop being a kid and like just everything about this moment was pretty awesome and kind of like a cool thing to be happening for this character at this time. This character had been like, as a character, not only like the opinions of the characters in the book are reflective of how the audience felt about Impulse. I feel like they're just like, ugh, so annoying, and he's like, you know, kind of thing. And they were making a very purposeful shift in his character, and I think it was done in a very good way, and it was really interesting. The point of trauma was interesting, like the way he the way he was getting shit on by Wally and like by even Robin and Cassie at the beginning when he first showed up at the tower, and like just like little like, come on man, like get off me, you know, kind of thing. Like this, like you're just such a kid, like leave me alone, you know, kind of thing. Get it, like really translated well, and I thought they turned it around really well. I thought it was really cool.
I know it's not the first time the Flash has caught a bullet, but I did love Bart showing up as Kid Flash, and that was his intro, was just catching the bullet like that.
It was awesome.
Right before it hit Tim's face. So good. So good.
This next issue basically starts with Kid Flash pummeling the shit out of Deathstroke, which I love. And then Robin, I guess, either misses carving out Slade's other eye or purposely only cuts the way the cloth.
No, but I think it was purposeful, right? I mean, Robin wouldn't try to.
Yeah, he was just like, I just want to blind you.
I don't know.
Cutting your eyebrow.
This is one of those panels that has always kind of stuck with me, but I'll never forget the dialogue when he says, so let's see how you fight blind, and he throws it, almost cuts his eyeball out, and then Deathstroke just goes vicious, and Robin goes, when I have to be.
Oh, so I guess
implies like,
well, I mean, I think part of that is like, I almost got shot in the face just now, so
yeah,
you know, so fuck you, you know, kind of thing. Like, I'll take your other eye. That doesn't mean you're dead, you know, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Which is, I mean, something Batman would do, really. I mean, forced to it.
I personally think Robin was going for it for sure.
I agree. I would agree with you. Maybe he was.
He barely dodges it. I mean, it cuts the cloth off of his face, and Deathstroke
Yeah. So
has,
that being said, I mean, like as Slade had demonstrated in the fight previous to this, he's clearly fast enough to beat the shit out of Robin. So I think he was going for it too.
Well, he was even fast enough to catch Kid Flash off guard. So yeah.
Another thing is, if he had blinded Deathstroke, Jericho would have basically been trapped in that body forever.
That's another point too. That's a good
Very
point.
interesting.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that was a good
interesting.
plan by Robin. Yeah.
And then Wonder Girl uses her lasso for the first time, and it electrocutes the shit out of Deathstroke, and she didn't know that was going to happen. And everyone's like, and I love how everyone's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And Cassie's like, "I have no idea," and no one brings it up again for like 35 issues.
Well, she does say, "And the lightning came out of my lasso."
Yeah,
as in, I did it. I just don't know why.
No one asks her where the lasso came from. No one like inquires what she.
Well, Diana does.
Well, but even
she's
Diana,
like, "Where'd you get that?"
Diana, she drops it as well. Like no one follows up with it. No one follows up. You're like, the God of War is grooming this poor girl, giving her gifts, compliments.
Yep, he really is. Oh shit, you're right.
There's a lot of grooming going on.
Listen, I just want you to be how strong you can be. Here's a gift. Here's a shiny golden necklace lasso. I mean,
even she makes a point in a later issue where she said she's tried to drop it into like the ocean several times, and she can't bring herself to like open her, like it's basically like her or something. Yeah.
So Jericho takes him over and immediately uses heat vision. Superboy, I mean, and then that kind of sends all the Titans flying off.
I love this fight because he just keeps swapping bodies with people.
I like how they're continuing to talk as themselves, because it's not like the Deathstroke situation where he's in charge. Like they can still speak. So Superboy's like, "I'm sorry," and he like headbutts Kid Flash stuff, and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting how the fight. As the fight continues and he keeps jumping bodies, like Kid Flash will be like, "I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, Cyborg," and he's like beating the crap out of him, kind of thing.
He's in Starfire's body, and Starfire's choking Beast Boy, and Beast Boy's talking to him, and then switches, and then all of a sudden, like Starfire's been released, and Jericho's in Beast Boy, but they're still having the same like conversation.
Yeah.
It kind of. Do you ever see that movie Fallen with Denzel Washington from the 90s about that demon? It kind of reminded me of that. I really like that whole gimmick.
Jericho's a freaky character.
Oh, very freaky.
Especially it was kind of fun seeing him as a villain. I mean, for a short period of time, this was again another good thing Geoff Johns did. I mean, that's a fun idea. Like, how about Jericho's been in Deathstroke the entire time since he killed Deathstroke? Like, that idea alone is like, oh shit, that's golden. Let's go with that, kind of thing. What a great opening arc. We're not fighting white Martians. Like, this is awesome, dude. I mean, like, that's a really cool
that is a very good point. Yeah. But back to Teen Titans, Raven shows up out of nowhere during the middle of the fight and sucks up Jericho's soul, then disappears, and that's how the fight ends.
So as much as a cop-out as that is, sort of, it's setting up the future, and I don't dislike it. Like, it's like, what are you going to do with this? Like, it was a solid end to like a fight that only would have ended if they had somehow created a body for him to go into or something like that. Or like one of them had been like, "I'll house your soul for a little while," I guess. Yeah. Like what else? What other ending is there to this?
I think Geoff Johns had a plan, because this story is kind of wrapped up after the next story arc, I think, with Brother Blood. And then Cassie and Connor have their little sweet moment, and Wonder Woman shows up, and this is the next issue. The final issue of this story run, this arc, is
the super forced battle with the Justice League. That makes no sense.
Just like, why every time two super teams meet up, like why do they always have to fight first before?
Because there's just a lot of energy and testosterone going on there.
I mean, they don't really fight though.
Starfire and Wonder Woman are going.
Well, Starfire and Wonder Woman definitely fight, but every single other person is like not fighting.
They're all kind of fighting though, a little bit.
I mean, kind of.
I love Starfire because she interrupts Wonder Girl and Wonder Woman talking. So Wonder Woman shows up because she's pissed off that Cassie even did this, but also Cassie didn't call her fucking mom. She didn't know where she was going to be all weekend.
You're grounded, young lady.
What's overkill is that Wonder Woman shows up with the entire Justice League with her, and I don't know why she did that. But She's just talking with Wonder Girl. Starfire shows up out of nowhere, just simply asks Cassie if she wants to leave with Wonder Woman, and Cassie says no. And Starfire shoots Wonder Woman in the face with a star bolt. Conversation's over. We're fighting.
She's gonna say, I'm gonna make this simple for all of us. Do you want to leave with her, Wonder Girl? And she's like, no. And then she goes, she stays, and blasts her. And then she goes, I will make this simple. Don't do that again. But then she's like, oh yeah.
Shoots her again.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Why?
And Wonder Woman clearly wasn't ready for that, because if you look at that panel, she's basically shooting Wonder Woman like in the lower back, and Wonder Woman is like
just flying through the air, cartwheeling backwards.
And even Wonder Girl's like, Starfire,
yeah,
what are you doing?
Like, what are you doing? I'm protecting your freedom. Are you? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Here's a fun thing about Tim characterization through this issue is. Very beginning, Cyborg is talking about Tim, and then someone says he's kind of like Nightwing, and Starfire says he's nothing like Dick. In this scene, Tim is fighting Batman, and Jason Todd comes up, and Batman says, you're nothing like Jason. And then at the very end, Connor tells Robin that he's nothing like Batman. So it was like a little weird parallel throughout the issue, kind of.
I think the key there is that they're trying to like go out of their way to be like Tim's his own character, and he's not just like a facsimile of all these other Robins and or Batman that came before him, which I appreciate. You know, like again, because I love Tim Drake. He's amazing.
So they go to talk, and I'm totally Team Starfire in this because they start talking about responsibility. And they bring up Donna Troy, and Starfire says, these young men and women blame themselves for Donna Troy's death. They have lived with the guilt just as Victor, Garfield, and myself have. Guilt that we survived, or that we failed, or that we brought this upon ourselves. But if anyone is to blame, it should be you. And she blasts Superman in the chest. Mm-hmm. And it was like, yeah. She goes, it was one of your Superman androids that killed Donna, a mindless robot that was too much trouble to turn into scrap. And that's literally what happened. Like, why aren't the Justice League, like... It's Superman's fault, like, period in his story.
Wasn't that one like something like it got like it was not with him anymore or something, or gone, or
probably?
Like,
why'd you make something that powerful in the first place? Like, what are you doing, Superman?
Okay, but Patrick, this opens up a lot of liability discussions. Like, is a gun manufacturer responsible for the deaths caused by the weapon? You know, there's a lot of.
If you use a magical wish stone and then everyone that died is not dead anymore, then don't arrest Lex Luthor because he didn't kill anybody. You know, it's that simple. That's all I'm saying.
There's legally and, you know, liability-wise, there's a lot we could go into here about whether Superman
he's liable. Sorry, liable.
Okay.
Liable. Okay. She goes, if you want to talk about responsibility, start with the Kryptonian, and then
I love that because I love
the Krypto. Oh, she went right for race too. She called him
They're all like, oh shit.
I love how Kid Flash goes, damn.
Yeah, I did notice that too. It's just like, damn.
And then Superman goes, you're right, it's not your fault. I thought I dismantled all those androids, but obviously one fell into the wrong hands. Let's not talk about this, you guys. Let's go.
And let's and then no one bring it up ever again.
Going back to how useless Beast Boy is in this whole exchange. So he rolls up to the fight as a crane, like a crane bird. So it's like, all right. Then the next scene, he's a shark on land fighting Green Lantern, like a shark out of water attacking Green Lantern. And then the next panel is Beast Boy as a ram butting heads with the Green Lantern image ram. Yeah. And like, what are you doing? Beast Boy, what are you doing? Yeah, his whole contribution is turning into a land shark and then a ram to just fight a ram image. It's just...
By the way, the next panel with Beast Boy in it is like Cyborg's like patting his back, and Beast Boy looks like he's out of breath, like he's been trying really hard.
Yeah, it's Cyborg's
like, it's okay, buddy. You did something. You did good.
You participated. You participated.
And then,
in that. Good job.
The next page, when Starfire is confronting Superman, they're like, "Better hold her back, gang." And Nightwing and Cyborg are holding her, and Beast Boy has just turned into a snake wrapped around her
and
arm,
just wrapped around
nothing.
Her. Yeah,
like not even a boa
But he's slowly constricting her blood flow to her right hand, Patty. You know?
Yeah, and also going back to Tim's use of Microsoft products. So, like, what chat room is he on? And his name is Robin. Like in the chat room.
What did you want his name to be? Tim Drake? Then you'd figure it out pretty quick, wouldn't you?
How about not Robin?
We're not at Identity Crisis yet. No one knows who he is.
Lex Luthor is Snapdragon? Where did that come from?
Also, wearing a classy black turtleneck, by the way. That's probably like a Steve Jobs,
Loved it.
Issey Miyake black turtleneck. He's
Very
sporting.
Sharon Stone. It might be from The Gap.
Ooh, I hope. No, Lex wouldn't shop from The Gap, would he?
Listen,
Sharon Stone does.
Going back to Tim Loves Connor on a deep level. Like, all right, he says, see you next weekend. He goes, I'll be here. And there's a weird panel of just silence where he's staring after Connor. And then he just, but then he looks down, and there are two silent panels in a row, and his cape is just in front of his crotch. I don't know what's going on down there.
Yeah, I think we know what's happening.
I mean, but he's just looking off to the distance at Connor, and then Connor's far enough away where he can't see him anymore, and then he's like, yeah.
I mean, I suppose he could potentially be thinking about the Lex Luthor thing and having to keep that secret when he doesn't want to, but...
Absolutely, I'm sure that's what that's meant to be.
Yeah,
the cape's a very unfortunate billowing effect.
Very differently.
And then he immediately goes home with his dad, and he's like, hey, you want to watch that game? And he's like, yeah, I can. I got some homework. And he goes up into his computer.
Yeah, and chats with an old man. He goes to his computer
he doesn't
and chats
know.
with an older man.
What did you like to know? Lex Luthor's chatting with a teenage boy.
I guess the bisexual signs really were there this whole time.
And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's always been there. No,
Lex
in all
Luthor
seriousness,
really...
though, there are some like really obvious scenes, and I think it's a lot of it has to do later on with when Cassie dies. No, I'm sorry, when Superboy dies, and Cassie and Tim get together. I think it's like a weird, I just really want to be with Connor move on his part.
Do you guys hear anything? Like, is it coming through your headphones at all? I hear this weird buzzing. This sort of.
Hold on, is it
pass the Bechdel test?
Yes, I do hear
Bechdel test.
There it is. I hear it stronger.
Does this pass the Bechdel test? The answer's probably no. So does this pass? So I guess technically, like, isn't there a panel of Wonder Woman bitching at Wonder Girl? That's passing the Bechdel test.
Yeah,
no, it passes
Starfire
way better.
Wonder Girl. Starfire, when she goes to recruit Wonder Girl, they have
way better with that one, with that scene.
Yeah, they're not like long or significant scenes, but so I don't know if like the spirit of the test, but
I disagree completely.
The wording of the test, it definitely passes. Yeah, but so anyway, this does pass the Bechdel test. So good job, Geoff Johns and Mike McKone.
Not so much Makamori. I guess you could say Cassie has a pretty strong arc in this, even though it's a 6 issue.
But it's also it's just early in the run. I mean, I don't know.
It's a little early to be like she has a strong arc. It's really more like there's the birth, or there's the hint at an arc coming, kind of thing. There's a lot going on.
I'm not sure it really passes the.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Makamori test yet.
Superboy in the pool. He's on the Snyder scale.
Oh yeah, he's got to be on the scale. Sure. He's about like a 7 or an 8, right?
Whoa! You've just completely reversed how you scale people on this scale.
Well, we recalibrated. How many issues ago? We recalibrated the scale.
I mean,
completely.
Wally West in the Justice League was like a 7 or something like that, and he was like covered in extra muscles.
But that's kind of weird too.
Do I need to show you a picture of Snyder Zeus again to like maybe so you understand what a 10 means?
I understand what a 10 means. You guys made me recalibrate the scale so that people.
Yeah, and I don't think Superboy's a 7. I mean, he's probably like a 4. Yeah,
stronger. He might not have the definition. Look how
that's what I'm saying. See, that's where I'm at.
He comes out of the pool though. Like his shoulders and back, he's enormous. I can remember when I first read this, I was like,
he is enormous.
You're gigantic.
Patrick, you're talking
but look at Superboy next to Superman.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
All right.
I was like, how is he look like that at 16?
That's are you quoting Kevin Spacey right now? Circa 1998 or what?
I mean, technically the guy's only like 2 years old because he's only been out of his test tube for so long. This is my final little note about Starfire. When she shoots Wonder Woman out of nowhere, I was like, that's really insane. Why would she react like that? Yeah. But in the issue after this, it's kind of like a filler arc where every character gets like 5 pages of internal monologue. And this is Starfire. She says, too many people hold their tongue here. Too many people hide their true feelings. And at the end of the day, that does nothing but hurt someone. The men and women of Tamaran, which is where she's from, were always taught to live by their emotions, to trust that first reaction as is the most pure. Cyborg argues that you need time to make the proper decision. I argue that time blurs the true intent. So it's kind of like Starfire literally just feels that first feeling and just acts on it.
And just acts on it.
Think about it. whatever. So her first.
I mean,
thought
she
was
does
shoot Wonder
straight
Woman,
up
so
say,
she-
"I'm protecting your freedom. I'm protecting your ability
Yeah.
to make your own choice." End of story.
But
Yeah, that's
And
what
she doesn't
Americans
shoot.
do is they
In
protect
her
freedom.
defense, she doesn't shoot right away. She just goes, "Do you want to stay or do you want to go with her?" And he goes, "I want to stay."
Yeah.
Enough said. You know, and you're like, "Oh shit, okay."
And it's also kind of like, get the fuck off my island. Like, you're not invited here, Wonder Woman. Like, that's the whole point of this.
Yeah, she
but
can
it-
make her own decisions. She's already said she wants to be here because she's here, and then also, she's currently saying she doesn't want to leave with you. End of story.
But I guess just to Geoff Johns' credit, my point is like, I thought that was a very unhinged behavior I thought it was sloppy writing for that whole impetus.
Right,
of
and
the
then like
fight.
one whole
And then
issue
one
later,
issue
you're
later,
like, never mind.
he
That
kind
all
of
makes
explains
sense. Yeah.
that. So
Is that
right.
the issue where she's gardening dressed in like post-Hulk transformation,
Yes.
torn jeans and shirt?
My recommendation holds up with my overall take from the beginning. I really enjoy this. I think it fleshed out the characters really well in terms of the core four, as we called them earlier, like their relationships with each other, and they only grow from here. So I really enjoy this run, and I highly recommend this. This is good. If you want some good sidekicks, JLA stuff going, this is a great book.
I also recommend it, highly recommend it, especially if you're just kind of getting into comics. I loved everything about this book. I would be chomping at the bit I remember I used to like check the solicitations on DCComics.com to see when the next issue was coming out, and like what it was going to be about. That's how obsessed I was with this run. So yeah.
Were you chatting online with Snapdragon to find out what the next issue was going to be?
Not Snapdragon. No.
What was? I wish I knew Robin's handle because I would have been like, I was talking to blah 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 numbers, Robin, blah 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 numbers.
His handle was 003 Robin 457. What? Why? What are we doing?
He's the third Robin.
What's the 457?
I don't know.
Is it the area code?
Bro.
Is it
I
the Gotham,
do really
the
love
streets of
003 Robin though. 003 Robin was taken 456 times.
I guess. Well, I like how 003. So he's already accounting for 3 digits of Robins that are going to be.
He knows it's going to get in the hundreds.
Yeah,
that's normal.
I guess he foresaw
that's how you
Batman,
count.
Batman Incorporated or whatever was coming.
Yeah,
down the
he's
pipe.
waiting for We Are Robin. You know, he's ready for that. Al, recommend or just or
Nope.
not recommend?
Nope, I don't recommend it.
I think that's a good. That's enough. We've heard enough out of you.
I don't have any. I mean, I think I already did it. I just don't.
2 out of
recommend
3 pass for the Mobius
2 out of
Couch.
3.
All right. Well, I think we did it, boys.
Bye
Good comments.
everyone.
Bye.
Good journey.
Bye.
Bye.